Hello, and welcome to Michell Consulting's webinar series for our Michell University. Today we're going to be working with Infor FACTS, and we're going to be talking about the invoice receiving functionality within the purchase order. For purpose of the demo today, we're using FACTS 7.7 for our demo, and this webinar is being recorded. It'll be available on our website, so you can visit us at www.michellgroup.com. So let's go through and start with our system, and we're going to talk about how we're going to do invoice receiving. So what we're going to do is we'll talk about the process in purchase orders. So if we go to purchase orders, we can see we have our PO entry, we have our receipt of merchandise, which this is going to do, this part right here is going to update the quantity on hand. It's also going to affect general ledger from the standpoint of the inventory account. So it's going to debit our inventory, and it's going to credit a clearing account, which eventually when we actually do get our invoice, we're going to complete the process with the invoice receiving. This will then go ahead and credit the accounts payable account and reverse out that goods clearing account through here. Also, you can see in the receiving, we have a couple ways of doing it here. We can actually go to our receiving. We can do the receipt invoice entry. We can also do an uninvoiced receipts. So we'll show you how this works here for the receipt entry and the receipt register, and look at our invoice receipt report. So this is the final step. What this is going to do, it's going to take the actual goods received we created, and it's going to update the accounting portion. And then we're going to actually go into the AP and actually create the document with an AP. So we can go here to invoice entry. So we're going to actually open up our invoice entry screen here. And we're going to look, and we're going to actually, again, we can do a search by vendor, okay, to do invoice entry, or we can actually go here and look at documents. So here we're going to look at these two documents we have. We have document here 1366 and 1367. So we're going to actually select document 1367. So what we're looking at here is the goods receipt. So you can see here that this was a goods receipt PO done. You can see you have the PO number and the receiving line. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a simple example. We're going to take this now, and we're going to actually enter the invoicing part. So we received the merchandise, and now we've gotten the bill from the vendor. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to enter this information to the system. Again, you can see coming here is coming from the standard system. We're looking at this vendor, V116. So here's our GL table for posting, our document groups, and so on. We can edit this information if we needed to. Again, this is coming from the vendor file maintenance. This is the amount. So we're going to do a simple one. We're not going to change anything. We're just going to do the receiving. Okay, so we have our due date and our document date. So here we're using 6/25/2010. And again, the reason why we're doing this because in FACTS, you can see that our AP current period is June of 2010. So we're using this for the demo. So again, very simple here. We're going to actually enter all the information. We can also do some stuff here at the bottom. Okay, we can actually delete this PO if we wanted to. We can add a new PO. So if we have two POs, two goods receipts actually bringing in for one, we can do it this way. We can also delete. We can go to our header. So again, we can look at our detail header setup. Want to make any changes to the detailed header. And we can go to individual line detail. And again, this is standard FACTS that you would see in purchasing and so on. So again, we can just look at all the information here and so on. So we're going to do a simple one. We're going to click Done. Okay, so then what we'll do is after that, of course, now we're going to do our receipt register. So we're going to open up our receipt register. And let's just go OK and look at everything in the file. So we see we don't have anything here. So let's go back into our receipt entry. And let's actually, this could be some bad data. So let's actually start with a goods receipt and go all the way through. So we're going to go here into receiving, and we're going to do a non-PO receipt entry. We're going to go and we're going to select again this vendor here, And I'm going to go do a simple PO receiving. I'm going to receive 10 of these. So again, I'm going to do done. I'm going to do our receiving. Not going to add any freight. Click OK. I'm going to do our receipt register to update this. And again, we're going to use our date since our current period is June. We're going to put June 15th, 2010. We're going to click OK. And again, you can see we have our PO receipts here. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to receive all this information. We're going to look at our GL. Again, you can see that the goods receipt is affecting the inventory. And we're going to be using this pass-through account here. This purchases inventory, which will be reversed when we do our invoice receipt. Let's say yes to update. Okay, so now we have that. So let's go into our receipt invoice. Let's do our receipt entry. Again, we're going to use our period. We're going to go here. That again, we can do a document search, or we can actually go ahead and put in our vendor. So let's put in our vendor. Let's put in our document. Again, we see the information coming over. Let's change this. And we're going to add here. And again, we're going to search our PO. And we're going to do this one here that we have. Let's do this one here. We're going to import all lines. We have the option of importing selected lines. We're going to go ahead and import all the lines. You can see our receipt entry. We have everything here. We have a balance, so we're going to go ahead and change this amount so we can balance. Again, we're going to go ahead and put our dates. We're going to click done. So now if we call up, again, we can see the one we just did. And here's our document right here. Look at our invoice receipt register. Again, we're going to select all branches. And again, we're going to see our receipts here. And you can see the effect we're going to have on the recap. So we're going to actually go here. I'm going to say yes to update. So now I'm going to update that. And now what we've done is we've actually brought that over into the accounting. So we've actually created our invoice receipt register. If we go to our accounts payable, so let's go to our document entry and accounts payable. You can see the document right here. So let's go through that process a little bit slow. I just wanted you to see that complete thing. Now let's break it down and see what's happening within FACTS. So we're going to go back to our purchase order. So we have our PO receiving. So in this case, we're going to have a PO receiving. We can go here and we look at our receipt register, our receipt entries. So here we actually going to update our purchasing. When we do the update, we're going to affect the quantity in the inventory and the general ledger as related to inventory. So let's actually do a non-receipt entry. So we can see again. We're going to select our vendor, D113. Again, we're putting our information in here. Let's put this as 06-15-10. Again, we can change all the information. Let's select our pallet truck again. So let's receive 5 of these. So we have now 5, and we have our amount, 12,000. We're not going to put any freight for the purpose of the demo. And what we're going to do is now we're going to do our receipt register from the goods receipt. This is going to update the inventory as well as the general ledger from the inventory side. Again, we're using June because of our current periods. And again, you can see the information here, 1,200. So that's the receipt register. If we run our GL distribution, we're going to be debiting the inventory, okay? And I'm going to be crediting this purchase inventory account. This is a setup, a clearing account. So when we do the AP is going to reverse this. So it's going to debit this account and credit the accounts payable account. And now we have that in the system. Let's just say yes to update, so we'll clear all that. So we've done our goods received for vendor V113. Now we're going to get the AP invoice. So again, we're going to go here to the invoice receipt. We're going to go to the invoice receipt entry. We're going to select our vendor. Here's going to be our AP invoice number or document number. We're going to put, again, this information is coming from the vendor file maintenance. So we can change it. These are the defaults, the terms, and so on. Document amount is 12,000. And again, we're going to use this current period date for the purpose of the demo. And here we're going to add. So what we've done is we've done the invoice receipt entry. We've pulled the information here. Now we're going to actually select the POs. So if we go to new POs, again, we can select the purchase order. So you can see here that we have several for this person. So we can actually select, let's select this one that we did. And it's going to be receipt 1. And we have some options here. We can import all the lines. So we can bring everything, or we can select the lines we want to import. If we select the lines, it'll stop and we can confirm each line. We're going to go ahead and bring them in. And let's do a consolidation. Let's go to new PO. And let's get this one here. You can see that this one already has the attachment of the invoice. So we're going to actually have this one AP invoice going to be for these 2 receivings. And this NP is the non-PO receiving 116 and 117. So we're going to bring those 2 in together. So we have that amount. So we're going to go ahead and update this. So we're going to have to change this amount. This will be 36,000. Again, we want to do that because down here our distribution amount has to be 0. So we're going to do that information. We're going to enter everything. We're going to click Done. So you can see what we're doing is we're flagging these 2 with the GL accounts. And then we would do our receipt entry. Before we do our receipt entry, let's go into the uninvoiced receipts report, because what this will show me is stuff that I haven't. This is typically used when you're about to do a receiving, because what it's going to show you is all the PO receivings here. So you can see for this vendor, these are all the PO receivings. So this means that these are all the goods that I've received in my warehouse, but I have not gotten the AP invoice yet. Here's all my corresponding vendors. You'll see that vendor V13 still has these two. So this receiving report is nice. Again, it just helps us for balancing purposes. A lot of times we get the AP invoice, and we just want to check and see what's out there. So we can run this report at any given time. So you can see all the information here. So let's go back, and so we've done our receipt entry. Let's do our receipt register. What we're doing here is we're going to update these two. So you can see that you can see line 1 and line 2. We're doing a consolidation of these two goods receipt into one. So you can see the recap here. You can look at the, going to update this. And now we've updated it. You can see if I run the receipt register again, we have nothing here because we've actually updated everything. And what I've done is I've created the accounting portion of this. Remember, what this is doing, it's reversing that that purchase clearing account, that inventory account, and crediting the inventory. So now what I've done, I've actually updated my accounts payable in my document entry. I haven't posted it yet because I still have the ability of making any changes. If there was some additional freight or any changes I would have to make, I can come here. But if you look, you can see how we have this one here. You can see the document number 2345678, and here's the amount. And then the final step would actually be to go ahead and do this. But I can make any changes I need to or add anything. Maybe there's some miscellaneous charge I need to add here on a GL that I didn't do, some freight or some handling charges. I can go ahead and I can add that here. But when I'm done, what I do is I would just complete this process. And the accounts payable process is documented. We have a series on that in more detail, how to enter all this. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and do the document adjustment, which would be the final step. So what the invoice receipt did from the purchasing side, it created the document entry as opposed to me creating the document entry. So all I got to do is do my document entry and adjustment register. And in here, I can go in. And again, I'm going to look at my current period. Let's just look at all branches. And again, you can see the ones we've created here. See the 36 and the other two. Again, we can look at our GL distribution. So you can see the effect of what's happening. We're crediting the accounts payable account, okay, because we're updating the vendor information as well as the accounts payable aging. And what we're doing here is we're clearing or debiting that account that we purchased, that we affected during goods receipt. Remember, goods receipt was a debit to inventory and a credit to this purchase inventories account, this clearing account. So now what we're doing is we're reversing that, okay, because now we know we already have the merchandise. We did a receiving as well as the AP, so we've completed the cycle, so this is going to zero out. This is also nice because the balance you have in this account will let you know what you've received from the inventory. You have your goods receipt, but you haven't gotten the invoice yet. Okay, let's just say yes to update. Okay, and a little error in the update, but let's go back in. Make sure we update it correctly. Again, that completes the process. So let's recap what we've gone over just today. We've gone into purchase orders, and we've talked about the invoice receiving portion. Remember, in PO, we have our entry. This allows us to create the purchase orders. We have our receiving. This allows us to bring the merchandise into stock. When I do my receiving, what I'm doing is I'm updating my quantities. I'm also updating my historical and my general ledger by debiting the inventory GL account and crediting a clearing account. In this case, we're using purchases inventory. And so what that's going to do, it's going to get the merchandise in stock available to sell, and it's going to debit my inventory and credit my clearing account until I get the actual AP invoice. When I get the AP invoice, I go into the invoice receiving and complete the cycle here. What I do is I go in here and I enter that. What that's going to do, it's going to update my system. It's going to go ahead and bring everything in, and it's going to create the AP document. The AP document is going to credit the AP account and update the vendor, and then reverse or debit that account that got credited by the receiving. Okay, so that completes our cycle. Once again, we thank you. This is being recorded. You can visit us on our website at www.michellgroup.com to view this as well as our others in our training series. And once again, we thank you.